this is our opportunity to save a life. I believe in this. I believe in helping people. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Starve the Demon, where we believe in recovery by any means necessary. I'm your host, Jenna, and today I have such a very special guest. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Let's get into it. Hi, Thom. Welcome to Starve the Demon.
Hi, Jenna. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here, and hello to the audience. Hope you guys enjoy the show.
I'm excited. Tell the audience where you're from and the name of your book that we're going to talk about.
So I'm all the way from South Africa, in a place called KwaZulu-Natal, which is the south coast, most beautiful place ever. And I wrote a book called The Badass Addiction Toolbox. It's a cosmic quest to freedom. So it's pretty cool. It's all about your sensory acts, and there are 7 techniques to help you ground yourself.
That's wonderful. We're going to talk about that, and I'm going to put links in the description so that the audience can get the book. I looked at it and I just fell in love with it, and I reached out to Thom and said, "Hey, you got to come be on my show." Thom's going to tell his story here at Starve the Demon. It's not about the misery of addiction. It's about the joy of recovery. But we do got to talk a little bit about addiction because we got to figure out how Thom got to where he is. Let's get
That's it.
into it. So, Thom, can you start by sharing a little bit about your background before addiction got a hold of you?
Yeah, look, so it started around 15 years ago. I got into a relationship with my son's mother. I was in high school when I started dating her, and I woke up with her smoking a bomb in bed, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "No, it's fine. Everybody smokes here." So I was like, "Okay," and it just started evolving into a lot more than just singing. But we don't see it as an addiction, and the thing is, it gets a bit much. You tend to want to be cool, you want to relax, you're living on the farm. So you tend to get bored with nothing else to do. And that's probably the most of the reason why I started smoking was because there was nothing better to do.
Did you have any like family history of addiction, or were you kind of the only one?
Um, well, I was probably the first in the family. We've always been the founder fun in our family. My mom, my brother, and I, we've always been the black sheep, if you want to put it that way. So we were like always separated from the family itself. Like, I think I was the only washout in the family. I wanted to prove myself, but wasn't really proving myself, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. What was the turning point in your life when you realized that you have become an addict, that this was a problem?
Well, yeah, I smoked weed and eventually harder drugs for over 15 years, right? So it was my silence, my escape. It was my way of numbing all the chaos in my life. I was working 9 to 5, Monday to Sunday at that time. And basically, when we separated about 3 years ago, I left Johannesburg, which in South Africa. It's like the hustle and bustle, the town, city.
City.
Um, Everything just went sour at the end of our relationship. And so I can't do this anymore. I need to move away. I need to start over. The weekend that she left with a little note next to my bedside. And then when I got home, I was like, where is she? She packed her things and she's on her way to Cape Town. And I was like, why? 12 years gone. I've built my whole life around and now it's just like, you know? But at that time, I had a child with her. He was 5. And I was like, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And that's when I just lost myself. I was overwhelmed by a broken heart and had a lot to do with my emotions.
Sure.
That weekend, I decided I'm done. I'm finished. I don't want to have this anymore. And whatever I could get my hands on at that point, I got my hands on it. It was cannabis, cigarettes, alcohol, ketamine. There was shrooms involved. But I've never really done harder drugs than that. I think the worst of it was probably the ketamine.
Sure.
And then when I decided that enough is enough, I lost my son in January this year. After battling 3 years, trying to get him here, trying to get the custody. Because last year, June, ex passed away. She had a miscarriage and it was also drug related. Then I knew, okay, this is my chance to meet my son. So I knew I had to pull myself straight. So the first step of that was moving to the South Coast. You know, get away from all the negativity, all the hustle and bustle, and just wait on the Lord, you know, wait on the promises of the Lord. He always says, you know, if you desire it and you pray fervently, you pray on it and you ask God, I don't want anything else but to have my son with me. So when my son passed away in January, the first 3 days were so heavy. Um, it was literally 12 years of my life just gone. You know, I built everything around that. It was so unbearable. I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. And I decided, you know, I need help. I need someone to talk to. And at that point, I had been a volunteer at the Rama South Coast Church because I wanted to be involved in the community. And on the 27th of January, my son passed away from an gastrointestinal rupture. And it was terrible. He went so fast. And yeah, right after that,
I'm sorry.
I was so depressed. I was so down. I didn't know what to do. Nothing was real anymore. And they prescribed me antidepressants. And one thing about those antidepressants, if you think hard drugs are bad, try antidepressants. You'll know all about being numb. It's really not great. I mean, if you think about it, your emotions cannot be bypassed. You have to feel them. That medication, it numbs you. And it's the
Said.
worst thing ever. Yeah.
Well said. That's very well said. You cannot bypass your emotions. Eventually,
No.
they've got to be dealt with.
You cannot bottle them up. Eventually it's gonna pop and it's gonna be a horrible thing.
Right.
And you're not gonna want to deal with it either way, so catch it while it's fresh.
That's good if that's a thing in recovery. We have to deal with the things. I've always said drugs and alcohol aren't the problem. They're the wrong solution that we use to
Right.
deal with our problems. But that doesn't
Yeah.
make the problems go away. The problems are still there. And if they don't get dealt with, there's still problems. You just might not care about them in the moment, but they're going to get dealt with one way or the other.
3 days after my son passed away, my pastor, Perry Elliott, from the Raymond South Coast Family Church, he reached out to us and he said, I don't know what's wrong anymore. He said to me, what would you have done if your son was in Johannesburg and you were here and he had passed away? What would I have done? And he says, you know, the Lord gave me my son in December so that I can enjoy the last few days of his life. I gave him the best days of the last of his life. I believe in the Lord, and it's also a thing of time. You know, our time is not our time, it's God's time.
Truth. Truth. So your wife left. You came to stay with your parents. You got clean. You're living clean. What was the hardest part of early
The hardest part of recovery are the craving, the triggers, what they call cues. And the thing is, we always have to be aware of what we think about, what we watch, what we listen to, because there are triggers in each and every single one of those. And it can be something someone else says, it can be something you see on TV or hear. It's always based on your emotions, and we tend to live in the flesh so often we don't realize it. And in today's society, people are so covered with social media. They are doing things that are not serving themselves or others. We tend to get carried away with life, you know. It's just basically a thing of being aware. The triggers is what catches us.
That's very true. What advice would you give somebody that's feeling hopeless right now?
I would say, hang in there. Just know that God's got your back. You're never alone in this world. Think about it. There are billions of people around you all the time. You're not alone in this. Ask God just to reveal to you what it is that you need to be doing. Even when you had lost all hope and you think you cannot do it. About a month ago, I was just thinking, I'm like, how can I ground myself? How can I bring myself to myself? I started researching meditation techniques, breathing techniques, and I'm like, I'm actually enjoying it. So I looked up a whole lot. When I looked again, I had this list of all these grounding techniques. And I'm like, but I can write a book about this, put it in a little toolbox and share it with others. I needed something practical. and something raw, but not too intricate. Something that didn't require a therapist or a 12-step manual in the middle of a craving. I mean, think about it. You can't carry that book around with you everywhere you go. You know what I mean? It's
Oh
like,
yeah, I
what?
have every known
Yeah,
recovery book out there on my
I
shelf.
can imagine. Yeah, so basically, I wanted to create a guide that felt like a cosmic fist bump, and it was faith-driven, fast-acting, and real.
Nice. I like it.
Talking about the book, what led me to write it. The problem was I tried to solve. It was the fact that I wanted a little toolbook, a book that we can carry around with us on our pocket. There are 7 tools in the book that you'll find. It is the sensory overload grounder. There is your color blitz. It's like a colorful treasure hunt. I Spy with My Little Eye. Do you remember that game?
I do.
It's about the colors. You can snap and rewire. And
Okay.
then there's memory warp. So thinking about a memory that makes you feel happy.
Nice.
Um, then there's call to action, tactile armor. That's all about feel. So when you
Okay.
think about a coin or anything, you're basically assessing how it feels in your hand and the density. So you're basically relying on your sense there again. And then the last one being bar chart. Each tool includes a short description. It's a how-to steps, why it works, and to get one step further. We like to play games, modes, phones, you name it. So I turned it into a game. So every time you practice a technique, you're leveling up or you get an achievement. It's like a reward system.
That's great.
It's basically for anyone who needs help right now, not tomorrow, not next week, now, in the moment, to make sure you center yourself.
I think you've made a very good point there. I'm a 12 stepper, right? It's a time consuming thing. I'm 6 years clean now. Now I can kind of in a moment work through whatever I got to work through, whatever happens. I
Yeah,
got what I need to get through that, right? But it is a process and it takes time. And the idea that you can have this thing in your pocket to kind of remind you, hey, here's something I can do right now to make it better. I think that's just brilliant. I'm so happy that you did this, and the grounding techniques. I've done therapy for I don't know how many years. I work in
yeah,
treatment and I'm familiar with some of the things that are in your book and
mm,
I know that they work and I know that I have told clients, I've told sponsees, I've told just other people struggling, okay, look, here's something you can do. If you
yeah,
look at the literature for Alcoholics Anonymous, there's a chapter called Into Action. There is no chapter called Sit on Your Ass. If you can do something, I
yeah.
just think that's brilliant. But enough about
Yeah.
me. Let's talk about you.
One thing that makes this book different from any other book is it's not a memoir, it's not a manual, it's a spiritual survival. So it's disguised as a rebel's playbook. It's short, punchy, and it's infused with scripture, wit, and humor. So
I
it's
love
meant to
it.
be light and uplifting. It's supposed to feel like you're playing a game. Technically you are. You're constantly playing a game with life. It depends how you play the game, if you're going to level up or you're going to go stuck in one level. It really depends on what you know about your addiction and how to get through it. And
I
this
think it's great.
toolbox is ideal for that.
I would love to see this handed out in treatment centers. Is that goal of yours? Is that
Well, look,
something that maybe you see happening in the future?
yes, most definitely. I'm in the process of having copies printed so that I'm able to hand them out at churches, centers, people on the streets, friends, family. If those interested in trying it, trying is the first step. Taking
Absolutely.
action.
What is the recovery community like where you are? Do they have anonymous meetings, narcotics anonymous meetings, things like that?
Yeah, look, I must say one thing. The South Coast where I'm at now, you get a lot of these people that come in from the city. It's like, yeah, they come with their addiction. They end up being homeless because they don't know anybody yet. They try and find work. They're not able to find work. If they do get work, they mess it up for themselves. And the thing is, it's sad to see how many young people here don't have work, They don't have places to stay. They don't have food to eat every day. They have nothing. And they walk miles up and down every day begging. So it is pretty bad. But however, our community currently, there are several rehabilitation centers here, such as the South Coast Recovery Center. Then we have the church, which take in people. Then we have another place called Waynol. So there are people here looking after these people. There's a very great community, may I say.
That's awesome. And yeah, if you could get your book into their hands and they can hand it out to the people that need it, I just think it's wonderful. I'm going to do what I could do.
I wrote this book with the intention of not making money. That's the furthest thing from my mind. I want to give my book to people. I want to share it as far and wide as possible in every hand of addiction. I want to have my toolbook. Even if I have to go on a mission, like a missionary walk through town, and wherever these folks are, I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna talk with them, pray with them, and give them the handbook.
I think that's wonderful. But I am going to say this to my audience. I'm going to put some contact information for Thom in the description. And if anybody would like to donate to help him with printing costs and mailing costs or anything else, because God bless you, ink's not free.
Sorry.
Yeah, if we can get anybody to help you out with that, I'm sure that you would be grateful, and they get credit in heaven. So yay!
Yeah, I love that. I mean, my pastor Larry, last week Monday, we have what we call men's coffee club. 7 a.m. in the morning, but it's all the men of the church. We get together, this fellowship. And I was so excited about this interview that I was like, I gotta tell people like good news,
Absolutely, tell
Well,
everybody.
yeah. And Pastor Larry came to me and was like, so I would like to read your book. I said, yeah, sure. He was so impressed. I think they're gonna look into printing them or have some prints done.
Great, that would be
Because
great.
they
Yeah.
work with a lot of the rehabs, yeah. They work with a lot of the addiction recovery.
If we could get you some help with those costs, I think that would be great.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
when we become fisher of man. So we're here to save a life. We're here to serve.
Right. Well, even nonprofits got to get money, even if they're not making a profit. People, you still got to keep the lights on. That's why, like at AA meetings, they pass the basket and everybody puts what they can put because you got to keep the lights on. Looking back, what would you tell your younger self about drugs and addiction?
That's a good question. I I always believe in nurturing the inner child. And if anything, life is too short to be serious about everything. Because when you get older one day, you realize that maybe I should have taken that chance. Maybe I should have spent time with that person. And if I were looking at myself, I'd be like, Tom, just follow your instinct, follow your gut, and listen to God's voice, not the voices of others. Because God is your reason for being alive.
Excellent advice. I wish somebody had told me that. Actually, you know what? Who am I full of? They did tell me that. I was raised up in the church. People did tell me, and I just didn't listen.
Yeah.
I wish I had listened to that. That's a better way to say that.
Yeah. My name for one is Thomas, the doubter in the Bible,
Oh
And it's
yes,
so
Doubting
ironic.
Thomas. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. But
And my
we
entire life, I've doubted everything. So it's like a thing of, I've doubted myself. I limited myself to the experiences of life.
God's bigger than everything. Bigger than any problem I have. God's got me. I didn't always know that, but I know that now.
But what we think we know, we don't know. And what we don't know, we still don't know.
We still,
God's greater than any of that.
yeah, I know that I don't know. How do you define freedom in recovery?
Freedom and recovery, it's not being tied down by a circumstance, what people say to you, knowing who you are, not believing in yourself, but knowing who you are. That's where the freedom comes in. We can all say, yeah, I believe in myself, but in actual fact, that means you don't know yourself. Because knowing and believing, very fine difference. People misunderstand knowing. How do I put it? They think of it like this, like, if I'm sitting in front of you now, I close my eyes, I'll say, I don't believe you're sitting in front of me. I know you're sitting in front of me. There's a difference. And when you know something, you're able to comprehend, and with comprehension comes understanding.
Very well said. You're a smart guy, Tom. That's true. I believe that. I know that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
No, for sure.
I'm gonna start thinking about when I say I believe or I know. It's not the
Yeah.
first time I've ever heard that, but I like the way that you explain that. Um, did you work the 12 step?
Never in my life.
Not
Yeah.
everybody does, but you are living happy, joyous, and free. You have a relationship with God. You don't drink and do drugs. I'd
Yeah.
say you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm quite proud of myself. When I moved to the South Coast, nobody knew me. So I thought this is my opportunity to be the person I'm meant to be. And it's been great because God brought me to the one place that I've always wanted to be. He blessed me. God delivers on his promises. He never lets you down.
Why do you think telling our stories is so powerful in the recovery community?
For one, we've been through it. We've gone through the motions of the emotions. We've been through the ups and the downs of the addiction. We have gotten to a point in our life where we've said enough, you know? And when we took the first step, God said, "Yeah, I'll give you this." And he blesses us with the insights. He teaches us how to deal with it. And the most rewarding feeling about that is being able to teach others how to do it. The wisdom that comes with knowing it's a tool on its own. And that's how we are able to counsel others because
Love
we've
it.
been through it ourselves.
Well, I agree. When I meet somebody that I know has been through something that I'm trying to get through, I'm going to listen to that person more than I am anybody else. I have lots of wonderful people in my life that can give me lots of wonderful advice. But if I'm going through something, I need somebody that's gone through that thing to help me navigate that.
Yeah.
I think that you're right on with that.
The most rewarding thing about it is saving that person's life, changing their lives.
What does life look like for you today compared to your past? Tell me about the joy of your recovery as opposed to the misery of your addiction.
Well, the purpose now is to honor Gaige's memory, helping others rise, whether it's through photography, teaching language, interacting with them, just spending time talking to people, Um, it's basically, I want people to know that your pain can become your power. It's a thing of how you perceive it and how you use it.
Your pain becomes your power. Your mess becomes your message, right?
That's quite similar, yeah.
All that stuff that I went through, all my trauma, all my drama, all my chaos, all those skeletons in your closet become warriors in your army. Fight the demons.
Yeah, it's just truly amazing how God's with you every step of the way, even when you think you're alone. No, he's there. He nudges you. He'll put people on your path. You'll hear something. You'll see something. That's God talking to you.
Yes, and he talks to you in different ways. Like I don't get a burning bush, right? I don't get a red phone to God. God speaks to us through other people. And I'll hear one person will say it and then somebody else will say it and then finally I'm like, "Wait a minute, God must be trying to tell me something because I'm getting this from all different directions." Do you know the footstep prayer?
Andy.
This is something that I would assume everybody knows, but then I have to remember I'm a American, right? So what's popular here and culturally known here, maybe it's not known in South Africa.
Right.
You're anyways, so the footstep prayer, I don't know it by heart. I'm sure you could Google it and get it and you'll love it, but here's the gist of it. This
Okay.
man in the poem, he's walking with Jesus and they're walking along the beach in the sand and he looks back and he can see all the events of his life. And in some places, there are two sets of footsteps, right? And in the hardest parts of his life, there's only one set of footsteps. So he turns to Jesus and he says, "Lord, why did you leave me when I needed you the most?" And Jesus says, "No, those were the times that I carried you." And it just gives me goosebumps. Jesus carried us through our hardest times when you didn't even know he was there. When people say, "I don't believe in God, I don't believe in this," listen, you believe what
Yeah.
you want to believe. I know that I wouldn't be sitting here if Jesus didn't carry me?
Nowadays, I don't just believe in God, I lean on Him. He's my purpose now to honor Gaige's memory. God's given me the knowledge and the insight as to where I should be going with my life and what I should be doing with my time. Because time is so valuable, and
Absolutely.
if anything, God knows you better than you know yourself. He created you. So He's always there, but you have to interact with Him.
And, I think it's great that you honor Gage's memory. It's an awful, heartbreaking thing to have lost your son. Some people would use that and go off the deep end, which I think does not honor that person. Your son would not want that. Your son would want you to go on and be happy and have a wonderful life. He loved you. He would not want you to be
Yeah,
sad.
yeah. And that's also one thing about my son. When he passed away, he taught me the resilience and strength. When he was laying in the hospital and I was holding his hand, I was crying my heart out and I couldn't stop crying. And he said, "Dad, it's gonna be okay." He never cried once. He never complained about pain as much as what he was going through. He never moaned about it. He never complained. Eh? And that's how I knew God was with him before any of this happened. As tough as it was, I had to man up in that moment and swallow the tears. Yeah, God's got plans for all of us, hey? And we just don't see it until it happens.
That's true. That's true. What's next for you? What's coming up in the future of Thom?
Yeah, there's a lot happening in this world, but with me personally, new projects, speaking and community work. So recently I also developed a language called Sono Vita. It's my language rooted in vibration and consciousness expansion. So that is based on cymatic frequencies. And for
Okay.
those who don't know what cymatic frequency is, it is the vibration of everything. So certain vibrations give you certain shapes, causing power. So it's even like this cup. This cup's vibrating. This
Right.
plastic is vibrating. This plastic is vibrating. We are vibrating. So this language was designed to also ground you and basically tune in. Other than that, it's going to be speaking at my church and local recovery groups, such as the recovery centers. I'm also writing another novel, which I started just after my son passed. Um, it's called Love Beyond Loss, where grief meets grace.
I do want to touch back on the frequency thing. I hear what you're talking about with the frequencies and everything's vibrating and you can't see it. All the atoms, all the molecules of the universe are moving, right? And I have learned, read, I don't know where I picked it up, that
Yeah.
when you are feeling anger, fear, sadness, shame, regret, those are low frequency emotions, right? So the easiest and best and fastest way to raise your frequency is through gratitude. If you start listing out loud the things that you're grateful for, even if they're I'm grateful I could see. I'm grateful it's not raining. I'm grateful I'm inside. I'm grateful the lights are on. It will raise your frequency and pull you up out of those lower frequency emotions. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that. I believe in music for one. Every single day without fail, I'll wake up and I'll put on upbeat music that it gets you up and going. I've always got to have music, and that's a way of tuning yourself in. So it's always good to have music playing, especially music that makes you feel good.
What does recovery by any means necessary mean to you?
That's what you're willing to do to be the better version of yourself and how you can help others with what you know, stepping up, taking the action.
Awesome. Awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience?
I just have a little something I want to read. It's all about love, and I love the fact that you reached out to me and that you allowing me to share my story, and therefore people all over the world and wherever they are will hopefully hear these messages and realize that there are people out there that care about you. There are people right there with you, like God. God never leaves your side.
That's true.
And the thing is, we need to be there for each other. We gotta have more compassion in life. Love makes the world go round. And that's why we're all here. We are here to learn the lessons of love, not just for yourself, but for others.
I agree. And we find each other, right? Audience, just so you know, the way that Tom and I met, we both follow the same person on Facebook who's also in recovery and does, recovery posts and stuff. So I happened to see Tom had reached out to him saying, "Hey, I have this book. Would you talk about it?" And I was like, "Hey, I'll talk about it." And here we are.
Yeah, that's the action. Taking that step, sharing.
All I'm ever doing is trying to carry the message of recovery.
So, here it goes. I didn't choose the fire. It found me in the bottle, in the puff, in the silence, in the ache that wore my name. Addiction didn't knock. It moved in, made a home in my bones, and called it comfort. Then Gaige left, and the world cracked wide open. Not with thunder, but with a whisper that said, now you build. So I did. Not with bricks, not with blades, but with breath. I speak symbols now, a language born of vibration, where healing hums, and every glyph and grace is spelled in rhythm. I write to remember, I write to recover, I write because silence is no longer my sanctuary. I create from the wound, from the wonder, from the weight of what I've seen and the light of what I know. I connect with the broken, the brave, the ones who still believe that transformation is possible, even when the map is missing. So I speak, I write, I breathe, and every word I release is a step toward Gaige, a step away from addiction, and a step into the rhythm that saved my life.
Grief meets grace. Thank you so much. How can people get a copy?
People can get my Badass Addiction Toolbox mini book. Contact me via my email, which will be in the link below. And you can follow me on all my social media accounts, such as my Facebook account. The links will be below. You can also contact me via WhatsApp. It's available for download for anyone who's willing to read it. Free of charge. Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome. What message would you like to leave with our listeners, especially those who are still in the middle of their struggle?
Don't give up on yourself. Give yourself credit for how far you are. Each day is a blessing. Today is the gift of God. Lean on God. God's right there with you. Know that you're never alone through anything you go through. Just love God, love people, love yourself. Appreciate who you are because that's what's going to get you somewhere.
Thank you, Tom. And I love you. I think you're awesome. Thomas, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your heart with us. To everyone listening, you can grab a copy of the Badass Addiction Toolbox. I'll make sure to drop the link in the description below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, and share this episode with somebody who needs it. And remember, love everybody. Let God sort them out. Keep coming back, because I'm going to keep coming back. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Tom.